United States-China tensions were front and center at the APEC CEO summit in Papua New Guinea this weekend. What can we expect for the next steps in this relationship? Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. For the first time in their history, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation meetings ended without a formal joint statement. The leaders were unable to bridge divisions over trade.
I don't think it'll come as a huge surprise that there are differing visions on particular elements in regards to trade, and those prevented there from being full consensus on the communique document.
Not only U.S. and China, but there are also other members who express opinion about how we should structure a wording that is calling for reforms at the World Trade Organization.
On Saturday, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence took a jab at China's Belt and Road Initiative, which offers loans to poorer countries to improve infrastructure. Pence said the program is opaque at best and leads to staggering debt. Chinese President Xi Jinping defended free trade and reaffirmed China's commitment to pursue common development goals with the rest of the world. To discuss all of this, let's meet our panel. Joining us from Beijing, the Sri Lankan Ambassador to China, Karunasena Kodituwakku. Here in the studio, Jorge Heine, a former Chilean Ambassador to China from Albany in New York. Peter Petri is a professor of international finance at Brandeis University, and also with us here in our studio, the Washington Bureau Chief for the Shanghai Wen Hui Daily, Zhang. Welcome to all of you. Ambassador, let's start in the studio. That's Ambassador Jorge Heine. This gathering in Papua New Guinea ended without a formal statement. Apparently, the delegates there could not agree to the wording of a trade agreement.
Sure.
What do you read into that?
Well, you know, these summits, and there are so many of them today, are measured according to a variety of indicators. One of them who actually turns up, you know, obviously the more world leaders you have, the better. In this particular case, it's the first time in recent memory that neither the President of the United States nor the President of Russia attended. So that's one down. And second, the other indicator you use is the communique. In this case, there is no communique. So I would say the balance is not good, to put it mildly. I'm from Chile. I'm particularly concerned about this because the next summit will be in Chile in November of next year. And things are not looking well. So I hope in the coming 12 months, APEC manages to get its act together, and we will have a better meeting in Puerto Varas.
All right, let me go to Peter Petri. And Peter, this APEC meeting came against the background of this escalating trade tensions between China and the United States. And as we heard at the APEC meeting, these two countries have very different world views. So what role does APEC play? Is there a danger or risk that APEC could get caught in the crossfire, so to speak, looking at the hostility between the countries?
Yes, well, I'm afraid that is exactly what happened over the weekend, and it's too bad because the APEC institution was set up as a kind of mediator where countries were to find a way to talk to each other on technical issues without a lot of fuss, and yet in this case the leaders, particularly Vice President Pence and President Xi Jinping, escalated it into the realm of the trade war, which is going on aside from the APEC meeting. Nevertheless, it offered an opportunity for people to meet, for people to talk with each other, and there is another very important summit coming up between President Xi and President Trump at the end of this month in Buenos Aires.
Peter, one other issue, and that is, you know, the United States has put a big question mark over the whole issue of multilateralism, how to deal with international problems as a group. It talks about America first, it talks about putting countries first. And when we see that there's no joint communique coming out of the APEC summit, does that bode well for the future, bode well, say, for the G20?
Well, this is a big puzzle, and you're absolutely right that this is one more multilateral institution which the United States does not think highly of. And it's clear that, in fact, the problem with the communique apparently was that the United States wanted this group of countries to express its dissatisfaction with the WTO, and the other countries didn't want to go along with that. They wanted to express instead their interest in maintaining a rules-based multilateral system. So this is a pretty central issue. Nevertheless, I think we have to look beyond this. I think the Trump administration has been quite confrontational in addressing issues, but some of the solutions that came out later, for example, in the case of NAFTA, in the case of the Korea-US free trade agreement, were not nearly as extreme as one might have anticipated at the outset.
All right, let's bring in Ambassador Kodituwakku from Beijing. And Ambassador, Sri Lanka is not a member of APEC, but would like to become a member of APEC. Where do you see the advantages of membership in an organization like APEC?
That's correct. As you mentioned, not only Sri Lanka, none of the South Asian countries is a member of this Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. Of course, we also, since Asia is now emerging as the main geographical entity of the new emerging economy, global economy, Sri Lanka was also waiting because we want to interact more and more with the ASEAN group and of course China being the second largest economy in the world. So we would like to have a more interaction with the East Asia and North Asia. Of course, even at the moment, our biggest, largest export destination is USA, but of course that's a different arrangement. But through the APEC, we don't have any agreed program at the moment. But of course, in the future, we hope that since we are negotiating with free trade agreement with China, and we have already signed a free trade agreement with Singapore, and we want to enter into ASEAN market through that. If there will be more activities, more opportunities in the Asia-Pacific region, it will be good for Sri Lanka as well as whole South Asia.
Zhang, I want to get back to something that Ambassador Heine pointed to a moment ago. President Trump was not at this APEC summit, or for that matter, the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin. What do we make of the fact, firstly, the fact that President Trump was not there?
I think this is sending a quite interesting message to the area. From one angle, President Trump did not go to this summit. From another angle, Vice President Pence was very actively lobbying for Americans' kind of idea. I think Vice President Pence has his own reasons to blame China, but I think he ignored the ground reality of this area. From my friend from Chile and the ambassador from Sri Lanka, I've been to this area extensively. I find most of the regional countries, they don't want to choose from America or China. They want to benefit from major countries, China, America, and Japan, many other countries. I think America needs to involve itself into the region deeply instead of only blaming China.
Yeah.
Can I follow up on it?
Sure, go ahead.
I think one positive element that comes out of all this, there's a silver lining always, is that the United States has realized that to compete with China in Asia and elsewhere, it must also put something on the table. And one of the things that came out of this meeting, in some ways such a frustrating meeting, is that the United States is committing serious money, for example, to upgrade the power grid in Papua New Guinea and build up its infrastructure. So the United States has realized that if it wants to compete with BRI, it also must do something about it.
But did you not find it interesting, Ambassador Heine, that this meeting was held in Papua New Guinea? I mean, here we have a small Pacific island nation, a nation that's very vulnerable to climate change, dealing with the rest of the world. I mean, what did you make of the fact that they chose this venue?
What I think is the following. I think the predicament of Pacific Islands, small Pacific Island states, is a very serious one. And now that climate change is becoming more and more so, it's particularly urgent. So it seems to me that although there were many cons to holding a meeting like this in Papua New Guinea, the positive thing, it seems to me, is that it highlighted the predicament of these islands. And we can also see some concrete outcomes. There is money that has been committed to upgrade the condition of Papua New Guinea's infrastructure. So I would say that's the bright side of this meeting.
Peter, this was a summit, of course, as we've been discussing here, that was marked by clear divisions between the United States and China. Let's listen to what Vice President Mike Pence had to say about China's Belt and Road Initiative. Let's watch.
Know that the United States offers a better option. We don't drown our partners in sea of debt. We don't coerce or compromise your independence. The United States deals openly, fairly. We do not offer a constricting belt or a one-way road. When you partner with us, we partner with you.
So here we have Vice President Pence, Peter, being very critical of the Belt and Road Initiative. But what do you make of the fact that he's critical, but and he sees it as countries, putting countries first rather than working in a cooperative way?
Well, this is the challenge. I think the United States and China are realizing that they are the two major powers in this part of the world, and they have to find a way to make this relationship work. This is a relationship that will not go away. The two countries will have areas of common interest, they will have areas of conflict, and they will have to find a way to manage it. And I think that's probably the most important aspect or most important takeaway from this summit, is there has to be a kind of predictable way for the United States and China to address the disagreements that they have. Whether it's about the Belt and the Road, whether it's about state-owned enterprises operating in China, whether it's about the way that technology is protected in the two countries, these are issues that can be negotiated and must be negotiated. And what concerns me at this point is that we're not headed in the direction of a thoughtful discussion and negotiation of these problems, but rather one country blaming the other. I'm hoping that over the course of this month and hopefully ending in the summit in Buenos Aires, that there will come to be a set of proposals and a set of responses that lead the world back to predictability. It's not good for anyone to be in the midst of a trade war, not for the United States, not for China, and certainly not for all of the other countries in this region.
Right, Zhang, we heard that criticism from Mike Pence there at the APEC summit, but the Chinese President Xi Jinping, he defended OBOR, as it's sometimes known, the One Belt, One Road initiative. Let's listen to what President Xi had to say.
What I would like to make clear is this. The Belt and Road Initiative is an open platform for cooperation guided by the basic principles of consultation and collaboration for shared benefits. It is not designed to serve any hidden geopolitical agenda. It is not targeted against anyone and does not exclude anyone. It is not an exclusive club, closed to non-members, as some people have said, nor is it a trap, as some people have labeled it. Rather, the Belt and Road is a major transparent initiative with which China pursues common development goals with the rest of the world.
So, Song, to what extent did President Xi's sentiments there go towards reassuring China's partners, China's trade partners, economic partners, political partners, that this is a mutually beneficial project? You know, we've often heard it being said that these are win-win projects. That's the aim.
I think this Belt and Road initiative have been given too much geopolitical kind of meaning over there. I think from China's perspective, we are new on this kind of international order and issues, and China definitely needs to learn more from Western countries how to make those kind of projects to be more transparent, to be more like environment friendly. But basically, I think Belt and Road is an open platform, as our president has been saying, and China and the United States need to communicate more on this. And I think there's no issue that Belt and Road is conflicting with Americans' own kind of running in the region. I think, as we discussed before, I think Asia Pacific is needing about $26 trillion investment in infrastructure in the coming few decades. China is only now promising about $1 trillion, and much more needs to be invested. I think U.S. definitely can do its own part. or they can join with China. I think there's no issue of conflict between these two different countries.
Go ahead.
Yes. I would like to say this. Obviously, one can have different opinions about One Belt, One Road, or the BRI as is now known. But what it has done, it seems to me, and that is very significant, is to put on the table the question of infrastructure and the need for better infrastructure, not just in Eurasia, but in the global south. A number of countries in Latin America, including my own, Chile, have signed on to it because there is a reality. We need more bridges, highways, ports, trains. And in that sense, it's a good thing. And as I said earlier, the United States now is also chipping in and say, we will participate in this.
Well, there's certainly
$60 billion.
American companies that want to be involved in One Belt, One Road.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.